Okay, so I'm pretty excited about the next one. This is our next keynote is going to be from Jackie Yeaney, who is Executive Vice President for Strategy and Marketing at Red Hat. Now, what's interesting about this is Jackie, unlike a lot of people who work in the marketing world, actually has an engineering background, and not just has an engineering background, but was a captain in the Air Force, was previously a consultant, used to work at Delta Airlines. And Jackie's going to get into something which is, I think, at the crux of a lot of discussions in open source, which is the difference between engineering and marketing, and how actually there's a lot of similarity in many ways. So please put your hands together for Jackie Yeaney.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good? Yeah, so this is a topic I actually haven't talked about before, but I heard you're a safe audience. Yes? Give me a little more love than that. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. So it's been bothering me for a long time, kind of the engineer's perception of marketing. And yes, it is true that, I started out as an engineer. I have my electrical engineering degree from RPI in lovely Troy, New York. Has anybody gone to RPI other than me out there? If you in the back, woo, lovely Troy, right? Here's what I find a little embarrassing. I picked electrical engineering because I thought it was the hardest one. That's kind of silly, right? I wasn't the kid that was playing with circuits and radios and things. And yes, I did go into the Air Force. I know at my stature, that's exactly what you expected, right? Captain in the Air Force. I developed and deployed large-scale, near real-time intelligence systems for the Air Force during Desert Storm, which I know dates me, but yes, that's when I was in. I did take a turn then and did a business degree, which you may not agree I should have done. I was going to get a PhD, but the colonel I worked for convinced me to look at MIT's business school. And I did not take one marketing course at MIT. I thought it was completely silly. And then I went and worked with this Boston consulting group. It's one of the management consulting firms that's like McKinsey. I was consulting to Delta Airlines when 9/11 happened, and the CFO called me in and said, Jackie, will you please come help Delta directly? Don't make me pay these fees. It's kind of chaos over here. I felt like the right thing to do, so I said, yes, I will come join Delta. Sit down in her office, and she said, great, I need you to run consumer marketing. I'm like, what? You've lost your mind. I don't want to do that. She's like, I really need you to do this, Jackie. And I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of a sucker when people say, I need you. So I did it. I jumped in, and I found this really unexpected passion for the intersection of customers, creativity, and analytics. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. See if I'm hitting the right one. Okay, so these are some of the thoughts that maybe you all as developers and engineers might have about marketers. This was what I had in my head 20 years ago, for sure. Is this what anybody has in their head about marketing? Yeah. I feel like Rachel gets me, though. I feel like because she gets the connection between kind of, design and development. So the thing that's been bothering me is I'm wondering, am I the crazy one that went from engineering to marketing and it's just kind of a one-off thing? Are there more similarities between great engineers and great marketers than we might think? What if these two personalities understood each other just a little bit more? Would there be power in that? I think Rachel would agree, yes. I think that's actually her core point. But I knew I couldn't just tell you that, so I did some digging and ended up finding this pretty cool article that Google, Microsoft, and University of Washington co-sponsored. It's called What Makes a Great Engineer, and this was their top list of traits. And some of these, none of us find surprising, of course. Hardworking, persevering, the technical expertise that engineers and developers need. But there are some others here, like cultivating a craft, that I found a little bit surprising, open-minded, passionate. Me personally, I have always thought of engineering as problem solving. So I have 3 kids, and one of the 3 went into engineering, into mechanical engineering, and I kind of told them, you were getting a problem solving degree. Although I have a confession that I know I'm making fun of a lot of people. So I love open source. I love everything about open source and the mission that it stands for. My son went to work for probably the least open organization you can dream up. He went to work for Smith & Wesson. He is designing guns, which I can't believe, but sales are up. Sales are up right now, and probably for a couple more weeks. Okay, so I look at that list before, and I'm like, okay, so great engineers and developers are amazing. I look at that, and I'm like, I think there's a lot of overlap with great marketers. But I know you aren't just going to believe me when I say that, so I went looking for a couple more studies and found a few that said this is a combination of 2 different studies. And the white ones here are the ones that overlap between the engineers and the marketers. So we both have to be passionate, we both have to be open-minded, we both have to be risk-taking, we both have to be curious, we execute, we problem solve, we reduce the complexity, and we're both hardworking. So I know, maybe you all might think more about the end user. I might be thinking about kind of a broader customer, especially when I'm in a place like Red Hat. And I thought I would give you one personal story of kind of how the connection of engineering and marketing kind of worked for me, and I think kind of made me a better person, if you will. And it centers in on this, the one that's being creative and such. So when I was at the Boston Consulting Group, I was there for about 6 years. And I used to always get this feedback. Every project I worked on, every year at the annual, here's your performance appraisal, they would say, Jackie, you're not visionary enough. You're not thinking outside the box. You expect to do you're going to do the analysis and the answer's going to pop out. Yes, isn't that how the world works? I did not get it. Everything I did, I was doing a lot of analysis, hoping the answer would get to me. So I didn't internalize it for 6 years. I find myself at this marketing job at Delta Airlines, right? Now there's all these kind of creative crazies around me. And what I ended up realizing was these creative souls, where they come up with these ideas. So I'll just give you one that I thought was crazy at the time. Somebody said to me, Jackie, our flight attendants are not engaged. What if we go with a famous designer to do their uniforms? I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And they're like, well, can you just go look into it for me? So I went and did the analysis of, could we actually afford to hire a designer, forget how I do that, and manufacture uniforms and do it in a way where Delta wouldn't actually have to spend any more money? Because in my head, okay, you think that's a good idea. It wouldn't be harmful, but could we do it where it doesn't cost the airline millions of dollars? So I figured that out. We went and got a famous designer. He designed the uniforms, and the flight attendants got more engaged. And it was not an idea I would have ever come up with as an engineering type. So I have learned over the years with these creatives kind of around me, I still don't come up with the crazy ideas. My team can vouch for that. That's not how my brain works. But I feel like now I listen for the amazing ideas and then figure out, is it possible? How would I track it? How would I analyze it? How can we carry this through? And it's really a good partnership. I'll give you another one that was kind of a crazy idea originally at Red Hat that I think you all know about. So Jim Whitehurst's book. It seemed kind of silly at the time, right? Why would I spend all this energy creating a book? Is that marketing? Turns out it's worked really, really well for us because a lot more of the world now knows about open source and Red Hat than they ever would have had we not done the book. Again, not an idea that Jackie would have ever come up with. So this is how I think of engineers and marketers. So I think while engineers and developers are thinking maybe about end users, and I'm thinking about the broader customer base, we're kind of two ends of a different system. One more analytical, so we both want our products out there. We both want them used. We both want them easy to use, and it's kind of how we can work together to make that happen. So let me shift gears a little bit. So I've taken a lot of these ideas, and now I kind of have a dream at Red Hat. My dream is, and if you listened to Jim yesterday, there's so many of these open source principles that go far beyond code development and product development at Red Hat into how we function at Red Hat. I have a dream that we transform how marketing works, where it's more open marketing, and becomes more like when you all talk about DevOps. So imagine I was using more DevOps type processes in marketing. So instead of having functional silos of marketing activities, we focus things on tiger teams and passions and skill sets, and they get things done really quickly and then kind of, move on to the next. So I'm hoping that Red Hat, say in a couple years, we stand for this notion called open marketing. So I think it's going to kind of transform what we do and how we do it, involving people like you all into that exercise with customers, partners, other marketers. So we now have something called the Open Studio. So if you'd like to kind of join us in that effort, so we're publishing, as you know, a key part of being an open organization is sharing. So we're trying to share all the different kinds of things we're doing in marketing, from our brand standards and data analysis and things like that, things that usually marketing organizations don't share. How many of you have heard of Kaggle? Do you know Kaggle, the competition? Just a few. So there's this is where, again, I'm trying to combine kind of open source principles, engineering principles, and marketing. So we launched a contest on that site, and you kind of have a prize, and you put a problem in a data set, and then data scientists can kind of try to come up with an answer, and you give the money to the one with, quote, the best answer. And we gave them this giant data set and all the stuff that kind of happened in the past with our customers with marketing activities. And the task was, can you help us figure out what the next best marketing activity should be based on what's happened in the past? And we got like 900 data scientists creating algorithms for us, which is far more power than I ever could have done inside my own marketing organization. So it's things like that that we're really going to try to do more of at Red Hat. Okay, so I have a few little asks, if you can bear with me. So go find a marketer or a designer. A designer is kind of a marketer, right? A brand person, a communications person. Go sit down with them, take them to lunch, have coffee. I bet they'll pay. That's kind of how marketers do kind of have that mindset. I'll give you that. Tell them what you do every day, how you think about it. Ask them how they think about it. I think you'll find, because here's what I would hope. So it took me a very long time to kind of get out of my direct analysis engineering mindset and understand there's all these other wonderful creative souls out there, and that together we can create more power. I'm hoping that more of you can figure that out faster than kind of the 8 years, between BCG and the beginning of Delta that I figured that out. And then social media. Social media is marketing. It's one of the biggest marketing levers we have today. So how many of you have been tweeting since you've been at ATO? Okay, that's good. Okay, so keep doing that. That is, get your thoughts out there. Talk about your company. Talk about your product. Talk about what you care about. Getting involved on opensource.com and the open organization, I think, is another good way. And if you can also go out and there are some pretty cool marketers out there that you could follow and listen to what they have to say and get a little bit into their mindset. And then I was thinking the third one, I know reading a marketing book maybe might not be high on your list. These are some of the better ones. Me as a kind of engineer, I'm not really into these kind of books usually either, but these are 4 of my favorites that are pretty short, have some impactful insights of the way that marketing has been shifting over the past couple years. It's a digital world, right? So the notion of how we do marketing, nobody can just throw things out there and think it's going to stick anymore, right? It has to be analytical. So for Jackie, I've gotten a little bit lucky that even compared to when I first got into marketing, kind of over the last 15 years, it's become kind of closer to where my core is. So I no longer think I was crazy for going engineering to marketing and then finding that I love it. I plan to do it for the rest of my career, and I just ask that you all kind of reach out and hug a marketer too. okay? And hugging me doesn't count, although I'll take it. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.